and I will hand you over to, is it Louise, you're going first?
It is, yes.
Okay, I'll hand over to Louise. Thanks ever so much, everybody, for joining today.
Thanks, Carla.
No.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Louise Murray, and I'm a Senior Programme Officer at NHS Employers. Thank you so much, Carla, for inviting myself and Jacqui McBurnie, who's the chair of the NHSEI Menopause Group, to come and speak with you today. It's so important that we all raise the importance of menopause awareness and support in the workplace. For those of you that are not aware of the NHS Employers Health and Wellbeing programme, we're funded by the Department of Health and Social Care, and our remit is to support health and wellbeing leads in the NHS to help their organisations create a positive staff experience. And we connect with our health and wellbeing leads in a variety of ways. So we have a monthly mailing which goes out normally at the end of every month, and that just is a health and wellbeing roundup, and it includes any upcoming events. We're also hosting fortnightly network conversations, and these are specifically for health and wellbeing leads in NHS trusts in our network, and this is just a safe space for them to connect and share and raise important issues like menopause in the workplace. We're also very active on Twitter, so please tag us in it that you're doing to support your staff with menopause or anything else regarding health and wellbeing. I'm hoping this session will hopefully give you an insight on how you can best support all your staff with menopause in the workplace. But if there's anything you do wish to ask, there is our email address at the bottom of this slide, and you'll be able to contact us, and we'll be more than happy to help. I just want to let you know why raising the awareness of menopause in the workplace is so important, and you may already be aware of these stats, but I just think it's really important to see the impact that it can have in the workplace. So as we know, there are 3.5 million women over the age of 50 in the workplace today, and there are just under 1 million women in the NHS, and that's compared to 287,000 men. In the UK, the average age for a woman to go through the menopause is 51, but we know that around 1 in 100 women experience menopause symptoms before the age of 40. 3 out of 4 women experience symptoms, but 1 in 4 could experience serious symptoms with the menopause. With our population now living longer, working longer, and with so many women working in the NHS, I do believe it's vital that our staff are supported to stay well and thrive in the workplace. I fully believe that this is not just a female issue, this is an organisational issue. All managers need to know about it and need to know how they can effectively support the staff. Awareness on this topic is fundamental, and reducing the stigma attached to it is vital so that more people will talk openly about it. With the majority of the NHS workforce being female, this is a topic that needs to move from the taboo into the norm. And you can access the link to our menopause resources in these slides when they're sent out to you. But hopefully after all these events today, your main questions will be, why aren't we talking more about menopause in our workplace? And more importantly, what more can we do to support all our staff with this important issue?
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to just share some of the intel that we get from our health and wellbeing network, and just share what some NHS organisations are doing to support the staff. Because menopause is an issue that we do keep hearing within our network and trusts. And not only is it vital that we try work as flexibly as we can to retain our skilled staff, supporting staff with the menopause, it shouldn't be a nice to do. Ensuring we offer a positive staff experience is something we must all do. Now, some of you on this call may have heard about the pioneering work Sherwood Forest Hospital Foundation Trust undertook to develop and implement their menopause strategy. The Trust recognised that staff sickness absences were often related to menopause symptoms. So to tackle this, they set up a project team which consisted of HR, occupational health, clinicians working in gynae and sexual health, their comms team, and more importantly, the trade unions. The Trust held their first menopause conference on World Menopause Day back in 2018, and on this day they launched guidelines, leaflets and intranet support. Their CEO launched their day, and it's vital that your senior leaders are fully on board with this issue. And NHS employers also have resources to help you get your board on board with health and wellbeing initiatives. The first part of their conference focused on line managers and how their line managers can become better informed to confidently support their staff. And the second half of the day was aimed at colleagues, all colleagues, and it showcased what advice and support was available to them. I know Sherwood continues to raise this awareness both internally and externally, and they do it through the chief bulletins, comms bulletins, word of mouth and social media. Their occupational health practitioners and physios have now changed their practices to consider menopause when reviewing an occupational health referral. And referrals into their occupational health now state menopause, stress and anxiety, and the age of a female member of staff is now considered at triage to help give that effective support. And the sickness reviews now include menopause where it's applicable. And even if it's too early to see any changes in your sickness absence stats, the important outcome is that you start to look at the true reason for sickness so you can effectively support your staff. Another trust who has done great work on this is Norfolk Community Health and Care NHS Trust. They recognise that 80% of their workforce is female, and their health and wellbeing group, which included their comms, HR, staff engagement and an MSK lead, they work with their trade unions and other work streams to create a guidance and facilities map. And working in partnership with the trade unions, the guidance requires support to managers and staff experiencing symptoms of the menopause and their colleagues. The guidance looked at what symptoms might be experienced and how this might impact on work, the performance and the behaviour, what reasonable adjustments should be considered, and any internal and external sources of support. They challenged the stereotypes of, oh, they just need a fan, and well, I thought they were on HRT, and oh, this doesn't impact our male staff, and that was really important. To support their guidance, a facilities map was developed because they're a community trust, and it listed all the trust sites and the facilities available for staff, such as restrooms, shower and changing facilities, and access to drinking water, which is so important. The trust's uniform and dress code policy was also revamped to make it clearer for staff, and they extended the summer adjustment period to run from May to September inclusive, which allowed the staff to wear lighter, more comfortable clothing. And they introduced the option of lightweight tunics, and they also give the staff the possibility of purchasing additional uniforms at trust prices. Informally, staff and managers have reported how useful the guide has been. They now feel more comfortable and prepared to have a conversation about their experience of the menopause, and male colleagues in the trust in particular have expressed how helpful they found the resources, both at work and at home. The great work Norfolk has done and continue to do has encouraged staff with their personal experiences to come forward and share their story. Now, NHS employees, we've got a range of resources to support you with menopause in the workplace, and each resource on this slide is linked, so you should be able to access what you need easily. But if there is anything you want specific advice on, please just ask us and get in touch. And if anyone on the call is responsible for leading the health and wellbeing agenda in your team or organisation, and you're not already a member of our network, you can sign up to our free NHS Health and Wellbeing mailing. And like I said at the beginning, you'll receive regular updates, newsletters, and be the first to hear about our. So on behalf of NHS employers, thank you so much. And I'm going to hand you over now to Jacqui, who's going to talk about how she implemented menopause support for staff within NHS England and NHS Improvement.
Thanks so much for inviting me today. Thanks, Lou, for a great introduction. Briefly talk through what we've been doing in light of all that best practice and the examples that have been shared via the NHS Employers platform. So I started our network across the NHS England Improvement just a couple of years ago now, in response to a lot of colleagues and myself and conversations at work that we felt that we needed more support. And having looked at the resources, we felt that there was a real opportunity there to bring some of those resources in and foster a bit of a change in terms of our immediate environment and our teams, which of course then very quickly grew into quite a wide organisational kind of approach, and a very active network. So thanks, Lou. Next slide, please. So I'll skip the definition. I'm assuming we all know what the definition is. So usually we understand menopause as a grumpiness, mood changes, and kind of is, but what we needed to make the point at work is that it just goes so far further than those basic elements that are usually understood. So in fact, there's about 34 common symptoms of menopause, and considering that a great proportion of us can probably expect a couple of them to an extent, and some of us sadly struggle a bit more, then this is a real issue for more than half of our workforce, as Louise mentioned. Next slide, please. So we've already said that across the NHS and the general workforce, there are more women working now than ever before, than numbers have ever recorded. So most of our colleagues and teams will be made up of more women than men. And that's not to say that this is a female thing, because as the network chair for my organisation, I've been men with female partners that have said they're shattered, they're exhausted because my partner's up in the night. So if she's up having a cool shower, then I'm up because she's up. So it's really a kind of on a personal level, but then in the workplace, we manage and we work with colleagues, and what we want is to make sure that we maximise our well-being. We can be our best at work, so are aware that some of us might need specific support. Thank you. And obviously some of that might be in terms of those who recognise as male in the workplace but were born with ovaries. They will also experience a menopause. I think we've probably covered the data in terms of what Lou's mentioned, so we can skip into the next slide, please. Yeah. Next slide.
I've moved it on, Jacqui. Is it not moved on at your end?
It's still on age band by region, so I think if we could go on to summarise the work we've done, so that's perfect, thank you. So to change culture is actually quite a tough ask, and we know that the NHS is often quite hierarchical, and we don't often have agreement with all of our colleagues that actually menopause is something they want to talk about. So we've taken very careful and sensitive steps, I guess the answer is. So we've secured our senior champions, and what I mean by that is that we've used internal bulletins, we've used updates, we've used our platforms as a senior team to be able to say, actually, I'm talking about it, and it's on my bulletin, and I'm a director of, you know, a region, or, you know, and we've used those individuals to really make this an okay subject, so that straight away, and as I say on the slide, we've deliberately targeted male managers in order to make that awareness completely transparent. So we've utilised our internal communications networks, and I've had to learn how to use Twitter. We've used that platform. I link into numerous key individuals in order to share the work we're doing and learn, obviously, from what nationally is happening. And I've also used the office base, obviously not of late, but the office base that we have in the central team is shared with the civil service, and that has given me a great opportunity to link in and increase that broad representation. of the gender aspects and the cultural challenge in order to share and learn across that massive platform of civil and health. So I have put together a toolkit which is kindly displayed on the NHS Employers website, and that is supported by senior civil service colleagues. And what we advocate throughout that toolkit is that we promote, just start with a conversation. And one of the key parts of that strategy is that having a conversation then not only makes it easier, I guess, to broach the subject, but also to focus on what does that colleague or member of staff actually need to be at the best. So flexible working, health and well-being, all of those things link in to that approach. I've also taken on, in terms of external, every opportunity that is possible to make sure that the toolkit's shared, that we have conversations, that we have backing and support and ratified our conversations and our tools with the Royal Colleges and our Unison, and obviously discussions with NHS employers, which have been really helpful and supportive in terms of raising this topic. Sorry, I haven't turned off my alerts, if you can hear that in the background. My apologies. So we've also done some internal conversations to raise awareness and demonstrate data. So as crude as that sounds, we actually do need to be careful to formalize into a credible, that's better, to credible research. And one of the things we've been able to do is to adjust our sickness reporting so that we can now record sickness as a menopause related issue. So we've achieved something that will now going forward provide us with real analysis potential. So we have surveys, we have pilot studies, and what we're doing is we're building a picture of, is this an issue? And if so, how do we make sure that we tailor our support to the absolute needs of our staff? And that relates to our pilot survey with a private company called Peppy Health, which we recently did to highlight and explore the offer we need around our occupational health. So what is it that we need that isn't there at the moment? And that was a very valuable piece of work that I'm happy to share it with colleagues if needed. So yeah, just general challenging, speaking up, being visible, and taking forward every opportunity, such as fantastic opportunity to speak today, to be able to share what we're doing and build that into going forward a formal NHS England improvement policy and strategy for improving our occupational health offer, and we'll be able to share that policy once developed, so that we can have an absolute equal and transparent offer for staff across health. I'm going to stop there and hand back over to Carla.
Hello, and thank you, Jacqui, and thank you, Louise.